Paying $700 for a flight at 4 a.m. to see relatives that you spend all year avoiding?
It will be a record travel period for our state.
82 million people are expected to travel for the Thanksgiving week.
Tiptoeing around political conversations? Fighting over football? Dying for discount merchandise? American Ninja Warrior for dogs, and so much more? These are just some of the traditions we're digging into that might even be more controversial than Thanksgiving itself. So sit on down with a nice pumpkin spice latte and buckle up, buckaroo, because we're dishing up a smorgasbord of some of the weirdest, most questionable things revolving around Thanksgiving.
Here we go, right into the holidays.
We might even answer the age-old question of, were aliens present at Thanksgiving?
Of course you can't prove there were no aliens at the first Thanksgiving.
I don't know, were they? I didn't know that was a thing that people believed.
Well, you can't prove that they weren't at Thanksgiving.
I guess not.
I mean, do you think that people could really cook that much food for themselves?
You heard it from Jordan and Giselle. They were there. So welcome to the Thanksgiving Special Extravaganza Bonanza! Now, we could start with some shocking anecdotes like the radio personality who supposedly brought an adult film actress to his family's Thanksgiving dinner, which got a little weird when a family member recognized her from her work. But I felt like we should start with something a little more wholesome and work our way through the Thanksgiving weekend from the beginning of the day.
That's gross.
That's the only person that admitted they recognized her also. That's just the
that's horrible.
Cousin.
Oh, that's Pussy Chandelier. I know her.
Come on, Grandpa, I send you her videos all the time.
You know, I don't think it didn't happen, but it was super unverifiable. It was just like a radio personality that told this story.
Was this on NPR?
No, it was probably Howard Stern.
I would. That has Howard Stern.
I already hate the story
before
now.
he found Christ.
Like Opie and Anthony.
That man has not found Christ.
Yeah, he's like wholesome now.
No, he's not.
He's rounded way out. Like compared to who he used
he's
to
dialed it way.
He probably has dementia. It's not that he's dialed it back.
I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream.
Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is a timeless holiday tradition going all the way back to 1924. But despite it seeming mostly safe and harmless, there are so many fails and fiascos that are associated with it. And if we go way back, what's really insane is that they used to literally just let go of the giant character balloons when they started it, and it would float away. And then if you found one and returned it, you supposedly got a $100 gift card. So in 1932, during one of these float releases, a student piloting a Waco J-2 biplane named Annette Gibson and her instructor, Hugh Copeland, spotted the enormous Tomcat drifting above Queens. Gibson reportedly shouted, "I think I'll have a piece of its neck," and steered the biplane straight into it. The balloon's fabric wrapped around the plane's wing, sending it into a terrifying tailspin. Gibson almost fell out the door, but Copeland managed to wrestle control and landed safely. Somehow no one got hurt, and ultimately they decided maybe we shouldn't be doing this with these giant balloons.
The $100 gift card sounds cool, but then it's like, what if it's just a gift card for balloons or something?
$100 gift card at Macy's back in 1924.
Oh, you are
in
balling.
today's dollars was
balling.
probably like.
But is it? It's
I don't
for
know.
Macy's?
What's the inflation? Editor, put it here.
That is a lot of money.
I would fly a biplane into a balloon for $2,300.
Although I feel like if you're flying a biplane, you don't need the $2,300. You're probably good.
I feel like things like that were more accessible back then. But anyways, we're getting a little off the rails, kind of like Herman Munster back in 1960. An infamous, unverified story claims the actor in the Herman Munster costume showed up drunk. Instead of marching politely, the Frankenstein-esque character stumbled, cursed at spectators, and wreaked havoc, careening into barricades and nearly toppling over floats.
Herman Munster, his costume was super uncomfortable.
You were telling me
Yeah.
they had built-in fans to keep him from sweating,
Yeah.
right? Because it was so hot and
So
thick.
I'm wondering if he was drinking to deal with the uncomfortableness of being in a costume all day.
The one person that actually had heat exhaustion and it looked like being drunk.
Yeah, he
Dude.
wasn't actually drunk. He had heat exhaustion. Poor guy.
The guy was
Get
having
out of my way.
He's having a medical episode and people are calling him an asshole for being drunk.
They're like, oh, what a degenerate.
What a piece.
Somebody help me.
Oh, man. So Other issues with balloons. Balloons have had a very long and controversial history, and in the last few decades, strong gusts have pitted these helium giants against man, with incidents ranging from Superman in 1985 almost flying off with a handler to Ronald McDonald in 1997 rampaging through New York like Godzilla. Another fairly hilarious incident occurred in 1957 when the hat on the Popeye float collected a ton of rainwater, kind of got snagged on something, and then released tons of freezing water on the spectators below.
I'd be so pissed.
Yeah.
So pissed.
It's so cold out there.
Number one,
in
I would be
November.
pissed to be there because I'm like, it's cold and I'm watching big balloons walk around. Like, no. And then to have ice water dumped on me, no, I'm not here. It's like going to Times Square on New Year's Eve. It's like, it seems really glamorous, but it's actually really miserable, you
You're
know?
just cold and it's crowded.
Yeah.
And it's
And you can't
$20
pee.
for a coffee.
Yeah. But like barely what you would consider a coffee.
Maybe some people have more fun than you might have, though.
You think you would have fun?
Yeah, it'd be something that'd be cool to do once.
What's that like?
Not being a curmudgeon.
I'm not a curmudgeon. You just don't get assaulted in large crowds.
Yeah, I've probably been groped less than you have in crowds. Anyways, along with more serious incidents, balloons have snagged lampposts like Sonic the Hedgehog in 1993, which knocked metal off and injured a child and an off-duty cop. In an even more serious incident, the Cat in the Hat balloon in 1997 knocked debris off of a streetlight, injuring 4 people, with one woman suffering from severe head trauma that led to her being in a coma for over a month.
Suddenly, it knocked off a large section of the light, which then fell into a crowd of people standing on the sidewalk. Police and EMS rushed to help 4 people who were injured. Macy said, "We are especially concerned about the 2 people that are still being held in the hospital."
Afterwards, she filed a lawsuit for $395 million in damages because she had permanent brain damage. And the case was eventually closed before jury selection began, and the settlement was never disclosed. So,
This reinforces me not wanting to ever go to this. I would hope
too.
she made at least half that.
they probably gave her like $1 million and said
You
kick
think
rocks.
so?
I have no idea. Jordan, you're giggling a lot over there. You got something to say?
Did you watch the video?
I would like to lead off by saying I hope that she got enough money in the case to pay for first-class care for the rest of her time, because serious brain injuries and head injuries are not a laughing matter. That being said, depending on how hard she got hit in the head, you just tell her, like, just give her a briefcase full of Monopoly money, and she's like,
Dude.
done.
Kermit the Frog had a terrifying moment in 1985 when a strong gust snagged him on a construction crane, tearing him open. Children and parents alike were horrified as the beloved character was ripped apart. However, on the flip side, we have Barney the Dinosaur, who in 1997 met a dramatically different crowd reaction when high winds sent the Purple Menace out of control. To safely bring the balloon down, police officers had to stab and shred it with knives, causing New Yorkers to cheer wildly at the infamous balloon's violent demise.
So horrific. Why are they
How many of these were in 1997? At least 3 of them, right? Ronald went out of control. Barney went out of control. I think Snoopy had an incident.
The 90s was a wild time.
This was all one
parade.
One parade.
That was a parade to be at.
Dog breeding.
So apparently at one of the dog shows, PETA came out and all dressed in KKK robes to protest.
It's important for us to continue to dock the tails, crop the ears, and create that clean look.
Oh, is this the American Kennel Club?
Yes, but, we're discussing...
And you believe in the sanctity of pure bloodlines, right?
Yes.
And breeding to achieve a master race?
Well, master pedigree. They're...
Race, pedigree, that's just all semantics.
Yikes. So when I was researching this, I felt like we had to include the dog show because it's like...
It's a big thing.
It's a big part of Thanksgiving, right? But it was only made because they wanted to put something in between the parade and the first half of the day and then the NFL game. So they had this huge open slot where they wanted to retain viewers. And that's like the only reason they did it. And don't get me wrong, I think the dogs are super impressive when they're running that course. And I think we should do that. But like, forget about all the purebreds. It should not be about their pedigree. Like, go to a shelter, adopt a mutt, train them to be super dope on this ninja course, and like call it a day. Because other than that, everything about the dog show sucks.
Yeah.
It's not even live because they don't want any scandals, so they recorded a week before.
Oh, but the scandals would be the best part.
Dude, and because it's like a convention, like a show thing, you go there and you're stuck there the entire day. You're there for like 13 hours and you're not allowed to leave. Like, there were not really any interesting stories. The most interesting stuff that I found was about the Westminster Kennel Club dog show, which is the UK version that's been around since the late 1800s. And they're super messed up because the interesting stories are people, like, it's dog fights and people poisoning the competition.
Oh, like, that is more interesting.
It's a lot more interesting.
The videos, I couldn't find any good videos on dog show stuff. Like,
there was nothing.
The funniest video was like, this dog takes a during one of the runs. And I was like,
Jimmy can lose control. Whoops. Oh, no. Oh, and it was a good run.
Anyways, let's shift away from these silly arenas for sissies and hit the gridiron for some real red-blooded American tradition.
The Lions and Steelers were locked in a Thanksgiving throwdown.
Play here, and then Sanchez gets hit.
Bill Luckett's coin flip flows.
That could be a touchdown if Miami has covered it.
I have never seen this before in my life.
Even if you're not a fan of football, you may have still heard about some of the Thanksgiving game chaos over the years. We're talking about moments like the infamous coin toss controversy where a referee misheard a call in overtime, or Leon Lett's snow blunder where a Cowboys player fumbled away a guaranteed win. And of course, the utterly comical butt fumble where a Jets quarterback ran directly into his own lineman's rear end, losing the ball for an easy opponent touchdown. But one of the biggest, most consequential blunders happened during the 2012 Thanksgiving football game. Jim Schwartz made a catastrophic mistake. An opponent scored a touchdown on a clearly illegal play.
Elbow, forearm, he's going to be down.
Since it was a scoring play, it would automatically be reviewed by the officials, but in his fury, the coach threw a red challenge flag. Per the rules, this penalized the team and unbelievably canceled the automatic review, forcing the bad call to stand.
The play is not reviewable. Touchdown.
I had the flag out of my pocket before he even scored the touchdown, and that's all my fault.
The Lions went on to lose the game in overtime because of their own coach's emotional outburst.
The coin flip one was actually interesting because you hear it clearly. The guy the player calls.
Call it plays in there. Heads is the call. He said heads. It is a tails.
And then the ref is just like, oh, heads.
I think they made fun of that in Rat Race, right?
Did they?
Now for our loser of the week. This week, it's a no-brainer. Referee Owen Templeton made the biggest bonehead call in the history of football.
Dallas, call it in the air. Tails. Now, what did I say? I said tails.
I just saw the clip the other day where John Lovitz ends up like in the old 1930s Mercedes and the
it's like the Hitler Museum or something.
Oh yeah, and he gets something stuck in his throat or something.
Yeah.
It's the cigarette lighter.
The cigarette lighter gets stuck in his throat.
And it makes like black under his, and then he shows up at like a World War II veterans thing, and he's just like,
He's like waving around. That was a classic movie, man.
We gotta watch that soon.
We should watch that again.
Let's move on to the dinner course. There's obviously a lot of stories about Thanksgiving turkey, but before we dive into those dinner stories, I thought a few things I found throughout history were pretty interesting. Did you know that back in 1926, President Calvin Coolidge was sent a live raccoon by his Mississippian constituents to eat at Thanksgiving dinner? Back then, raccoon was a common thing to eat, but rather than eating it, they wound up adopting the furry little rascal and named it Rebecca. They gave it a collar and a tag, and it literally ran around the White House during his term, I guess.
Would you eat raccoon?
It would depend on the situation.
Rebecca.
It wouldn't be my first choice, but
I feel like it wouldn't be a good meat.
It's probably not good meat. They're like, trash pandas. They eat garbage.
Yeah, it's like... But also, it's like, there's not a lot of meat.
But here's the thing, though. If you're in Mississippi and you're hunting a raccoon, that raccoon's probably eating better in the woods, and it's not eating trash like our suburban
you mean ancient,
metropolitan.
You mean, not ancient, you mean Mississippi back in the day, not Mississippi now.
Yeah, I mean...
Because when we were in New Orleans, I don't want to eat anything that's eating anything out there.
No.
That's Louisiana.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's on the Mississippi.
Yeah, but Mississippi's up higher.
No, the Mississippi River, though.
Nolens is downstream of Mississippi.
No, bayou.
Now you almost got it, Jordan. You gotta just let the molasses roll off of your tongue.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so annoying.
You gotta talk like you're from Georgia.
You just sound like Walter Goggins.
Now, on top of the 2 meal, I'm also gonna need some cocaine.
Cocaine?
Yes, I got a lot on my plate. I need some gas to keep things cooking now.
Having a pet raccoon sounds really cool, but then I was telling you, I started following that person on Instagram who has raccoon pets, and you can get like a brain-eating worm from raccoons, so that kind of crushed my dream of having a pet raccoon.
I just think, when I think of raccoons now, I think of that video of the guy that feeds like 40 of them at a time on his porch.
I put it in there for you to add to the editing.
Yes! Yes! I'm wall-to-wall raccoons.
I was like, as we were talking about this, I was like, oh, we got to put that video in.
Have you seen that video, Jordan?
I think I have, yeah.
The guy just feeding like a Tupperware full of hot dogs to
It's like a 20-minute
raccoons.
video of this guy feeding raw hot dogs to 40 raccoons on his porch.
I don't know where they all come from.
I think he's in like Nova Scotia or something, but it's so wholesome. He's just like...
Yeah, so raccoon definitely wouldn't be my first choice, but why is it that turkey in particular became the star? If you go all the way back to 1621 during the first Thanksgiving feast, it was hardly what it looks like today. Native Americans brought 5 deer, so lots of venison, and probably some eels, fish, and Indian corn, with the pilgrims bringing fowl that typically consisted of ducks, geese, or swan. There could have been turkey, but historians aren't really sure, so it definitely wasn't the main dish. And there were no mashed potatoes,
boo,
no cranberry sauce,
boo,
and definitely no pumpkin pie.
Boo. I love all those things.
Yeah, so the whole thing was basically a 3-day potluck where natives and colonizers talked about conflict management and renewed alliances. So the reality is, early Thanksgiving dinners were basically whatever you could scrounge up from your immediate environment.
Yeah, swan sounds like a rough thing to eat. I don't know why.
What does swan meat taste like?
Like
fancier
it's probably
goose.
Gamey, right?
Super
but
gamey,
like classy gamey.
So if turkey hadn't have been the like main thing, we should all be eating like deer. Why are we eating turkey then?
So why do we eat turkey on Thanksgiving? It wasn't until the 1800s that Sarah Josepha Hale turned turkey into a star. Hale was a magazine editor who made it her personal mission over the course of decades to turn Thanksgiving into a solidified holiday. For 40 years, she pressured politicians, including President Lincoln, to fix the holiday onto a specific date. To standardize the experience, she also needed a standardized menu. She used her massive platform to repeatedly publish editorials and recipes that promoted the roasted turkey as the required centerpiece. Lincoln eventually declared it a national holiday in 1863, and the turkey was already so ingrained in the back of people's minds that it became the symbolic traditional food that you see today. So the modern Thanksgiving menu is Hale's creation, not the Pilgrims or even the Native Americans.
Did this woman own like a turkey farm? Why was she so...
I'm not sure what made her decide on the turkey. I mean, it's just like it's a big bird. You get a lot of meat off, and there's a bunch of them if you live in a wooded area or whatever.
I guess.
Yeah.
She seemed to push real hard for a turkey, and...
We'll have the editor in post-production look up if she had a vested interest in the turkey market.
It just sounds like her and Clinton. He's on my mind because I've been getting a lot of things about how Trump blew Clinton on my Instagram. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. It's not.
Those boys knew how to party.
Lincoln.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
This
like is a wholesome family holiday special, lady.
Clinton and Lincoln are very different presidents too.
Yeah, they both got blown by another dude.
Oh.
I actually didn't mean. I did.
Guys, this is a family special.
I actually didn't mean getting.
You're ruining the Thanksgiving extravaganza bonanza.
I didn't mean getting shot. I actually meant because there are rumors that Abe Lincoln was gay.
There are?
Oh yeah, it was big.
No way.
Yeah, serious rumors. That he was
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you know what? Okay.
But that was a good joke, regardless.
But you know
it's
what?
a double entendre, huh?
I feel like there's always rumors about like people back in the day being gay because they talk to each other different, and then people are like, oh, it sounds like they love each other, and it's like, no, they just talk like that. Like they were very like flowery and more lovey in the way they like.
Very gentlemanly.
Yeah, like it was the same with Alexander Hamilton and one of his friends. They were like, oh, maybe they were gay, and it's like,
no, they were just more
talk to each
sophisticated,
other
right?
Like that.
Like gay people tend to have a little more sophistication about them than their heterosexual counterparts. You know, like heterosexuals tend to lean more on like the caveman side of the manliness spectrum, whereas
saying they're
homosexuals are a little more proper of gents.
Yeah, but I'm not saying they're...
We gotta cut all of this.
I'm not saying...
We gotta cut all of this.
Oh my gosh. Anywho, I was talking about... It sounds like Lincoln and this lady just pushed for this to be a holiday.
Yeah, so Lincoln and Sarah Hale had a turkey farm. Don't quote me on that.
They need to offload a ton of turkeys.
We gotta offload some turkeys here.
That Lincoln and his boyfriend used to vacation at.
Up in Vermont.
Oh, so yeah, and there's a lot of presidential involvement in these holiday stories, and a little more recently than Lincoln was Reagan. So in 1987, Reagan used the turkey pardon to dodge questions about his staff's involvement in the illegal Iran-Contra scandal.
In front of him, it doesn't matter.
Are you going to pardon North and Poindexter, sir?
What?
Are you going to pardon North and Poindexter?
Mr. President, do you intend to pardon them on Thanksgiving Day? Him?
If you aren't familiar with this one, it was basically the Reagan administration getting caught red-handed to fine Congress by selling weapons to Iran in order to secure hostages. Then they illegally used that money to fund rebels in Nicaragua. Rather than answering the media pressing him on the situation, he jokingly pardoned the turkey instead. Classic political deflection.
Mm-hmm. Quiet, piggy.
Quiet piggy.
Yeah,
our country is crazy.
It is a little bit.
I'll pardon gobbles.
Garbage!
Well, let's talk about what happens when the turkey actually makes it into the American home. The family's Thanksgiving dinner was ruined, though, when their meth-addicted roommate decided the turkey was dirty and scrubbed the entire bird with a scented bar of dial soap. I prefer butter and traditional seasonings.
And stick that in there, the top of the breast. And carefully massage over the breast. Underneath. And finish covering the breast with the butter.
I don't feel like that would ruin it, though. Just wash the soap off.
I think someone in meth psychosis would have ground that soap into that bird.
I know meth heads.
I think that, and especially if it even starts to like absorb into like the top layer of the meat. If you taste even like, if you're tasting like even it roasted out, like I don't think you can even cook. It's not like alcohol. Like
the whole house smells like a scented candle instead of a turkey.
Well, it's just like you're eating it, just like, oh, it tastes like savory and kind of piney.
Or it's like that, what is it? The ammonia chicken or the bleach chicken? People bleaching their chicken. That like the TikTok thing that people do now.
Stop it. Is it?
I'm going to show y'all how I clean my motherfucking chicken. This is how my grandma showed me, my mama showed me, and this is how I do it for me. So you're going to put a little bit of Clorox. It has to be name brand Clorox bleach or it will not taste right. Chicken is now clean. I had to bring that back up because it was going down and I cannot lose my chicken because I only got a little bit.
You haven't seen bleach chicken?
No, why are you bleaching chicken?
Oh, dude, like, yeah, the kids on the TikTok.
Okay, boomer.
Like
The
soak
kids,
it in bleach?
Those kids on that TikTok.
You soak it in bleach.
They bleach the chicken because the salmonella, I think. And then also, like, my favorite is, like, when they fill a skillet with cough syrup and make NyQuil chicken.
I've done this in the past, and usually I use about, 4/3 of the bottle. Make sure you're constantly flipping over the chicken. Oh, sometimes the steam really makes you sleepy. Drain the unused right back into the NyQuil can, just like so. And boom, NyQuil chicken.
I wonder how NyQuil reduces, like...
It's already pretty thick.
Yeah. But the bleach thing, I need that explained to me a little more. So do they soak it in bleach and then cook it, or you're just soaking it in bleach and eating it like that?
That was a rabbit hole I chose not to dive down, but I'm assuming, like, I know that there's videos of it, but they just wash it in the bleach.
Oh, okay.
So they'd have like a sink, and they'd have a stopper in the sink, and they would just be giving the chicken a bath in bleach.
Interesting.
Bleach bath.
My germophobia side of me says that's smart, and but the more logical side says don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
So
yeah.
And then, of course, there's all the fried turkey disasters, so maybe we'll just roll a montage of that.
There you go. About time to fry this big bird up.
Watch your feet.
Oh no!
Man, this guy looks really big.
Oh, the wing, the wing!
Dude, do you remember that 4th of July we were making the burgers and we cooked bacon on the barbecue? Remember that tiny balcony we had there?
Oh, I remember that balcony, yeah.
So the barbecue was just like spewing flames, and the barbecue was like up against the wall because there's pretty much nowhere else for it to be.
Oh god.
And we had to dump like a whole thing of salt all over it to put the fire out and like kill the grease.
It's a good thing you had that much salt on hand.
We keep our seasoning stocked.
Ours right now, we wouldn't have enough salt to put out a fire.
Yeah, that's why we have a fire extinguisher now. We fried a turkey a couple years now, right? And one of the years I put too much oil in the fryer. I miscalculated it, and when I dunked it, it was cool for a second, but then when it started like bubbling up, I think like a air bubble or something escaped the crevice in the turkey. Do you remember that? The oil started overflowing everywhere, and I went and I put the glove on, and I was just holding this turkey like dripping in oil, and we were doing it inside on the counter next to the sink. Other than almost burning the house down, things usually go pretty good at our house, and that's not the case for some households though. One of my biggest fears is that I'm going to end up like the Jeopardy grandma who threatened to shit in the turkey if her family didn't let her watch Jeopardy. Despite wanting her to be present with everyone at what was supposed to be a nice family gathering, they ultimately gave in.
I mean, well, f them. Like, she's an old lady who has dementia. If she wants, you let her do what she wants to do when she wants to do it. She wants to watch Jeopardy, you let her watch Jeopardy.
If she's already, like, mentally gone...
Yeah, why does she need to be present at the dinner table?
Why are you going to force her to be present at dinner?
This sounds like it's on the family for that.
Well, what's the problem with it? I wonder what to do. Stop! Start the TV.
I would agree. I don't think that she was out of pocket. It's like the lady has, like, brain deterioration.
Yeah, let her do what she wants. If that makes her happy watching Jeopardy, watch Jeopardy all day, Grandma.
Yep. And then there's the wishbone, where there's plenty of documented accounts of grown adult relatives escalating petty arguments over the larger winning half into actual physical fistfights at the dinner table. This ridiculous violence shows us how easily holiday pressure can turn a harmless tradition into aggressive family brawls.
Oh my Lord! And you're filming? God! I'm so done!
Jordan, does your family care about the wishbone?
My dad would always save, like, because my dad always, like, and my dad would cook a turkey just on, like, a Friday night because he was bored and, like, had a long week at work. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to spend 6 hours tonight cooking a turkey and hanging out. I don't recall a single time that it was anything more than, hey, come here, grab that end. We snapped it. One of us won, one of us lost. We kind of chuckled, tossed both ends out, and kind of went and started doing our own thing again. Like, it was never a competitive thing. It was definitely the idea of having a fist fight over it just seems like you're gonna have a fist fight over something else. Like,
yeah, I don't.
This just became the thing.
We never even did wishbones. I don't know if it's a Middle Eastern thing, because for the first half of my life, we ate rolled grape leaves. And
it sounds like it's not a Middle Eastern thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, you would think it is because of the fighting. We do like that.
The fighting part's Middle Eastern, but yeah, we had wishbones. My mom would keep the wishbones from things, dry them out, and then have me and my brother pull them apart.
Yeah, we never did it at all. I didn't even know it was a thing until I was an adult.
Yeah, me and my brother just fought about whatever we were going to fight about. It's usually just me being a bully.
Sounds like you.
Yeah. I'm nice to him now, though.
Yeah, that's because you're mean.
Definitely not what Nathan told me.
You shut your mouth. Cut that.
But yeah, nobody cares about wishbones, so to fight over it sounds pretty stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb, and it could be even worse. There was a man in New Jersey who was so mad about not being invited to Thanksgiving that he showed up brandishing a machete. Police arrested him on assault charges, which proves that for some, the slight of being excluded from the family meal is justification for an armed, holiday-fueled revenge conflict.
This just made me think, the machete you got for our wedding to do the thing with the champagne that you never got to do?
Oh, man, I know this. I was going to saber a bottle at our wedding.
You should get...
That thing's scary.
Yeah. But you should get, on Thanksgiving, you should get it out and carve the turkey with it just for giggles.
I carved I cut
you carved into that fig tree in the backyard with it, though, didn't you?
Whatever, I can wash it.
Oh, okay.
I cut up. I got a machete from like a Walmart when we were camping at the Grand Canyon, and I cut like our breakfast steaks with a machete out there too. It's pretty wicked.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Tim's a man.
Look at the picture. Tell me that's not. I know you can't see it.
So cool.
But tell me that's not a cool picture.
Never been more attracted to you.
Yeah, that's why we started dating. I'm pretty sure, is you saw that on my Bumble or whatever. We survived dinner. Now what do we do with all these leftovers? Well, you invent the TV dinner.
You eat them for the next week.
Did you want to eat them for the next week? Don't cut me off during my monologue.
Sorry, baby.
In 1953, the Swanson Company suddenly found itself with 260 tons of unsold frozen Thanksgiving turkeys due to a massive logistical failure. A company salesman who was inspired by partitioned airline food trays packaged the sliced turkey along with peas and stuffing into frozen aluminum trays. This pivot to desperately save a massive oversupply gave rise to the iconic TV dinner that we know today.
Bravo, Swanson.
I didn't know that.
I
had no idea that's why
shit.
TV dinners are a thing, is because someone screwed up, ordered way too much turkey, and they just repackaged and resold. I mean, that's a good pivot.
Good for them, yeah.
Yeah, good businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Controversy on Thanksgiving. Gotta have lots of that. Because it wouldn't be a Thanksgiving special if we didn't bring up Black Friday and some senseless violence. Customers have been filmed violently assaulting rival shoppers with pepper spray, knives, and even firearms in their desperate scramble for merchandise. All for a discount TV.
Have you guys ever gone out on Black Friday?
Nope. I never have.
I did one time. I think it was like maybe my senior year of high school, my freshman year of college. I went to that giant Fry's before it closed. The line went, and you know how big that Fry's is, the line went all the way around. So I remember getting there and being like, there's nothing here that I want bad enough to stand in this line for the rest of the day.
Tickle Me Elmo is the hottest thing this Christmas. Sold out of stores everywhere.
Your child tickles Elmo and he talks.
That tickles.
Elmo puts his hand on your knee and says fun things.
Have you ever been tickled on the inside? Stop touching me, Elmo.
The amount that the news covered the Tickle Me Elmo doll. Yeah. And people going nuts for that thing.
That was a core memory for me too. Like, they made a really big deal about that.
Help me! Give me the doll! I'm gonna blow up everybody in this place!
Yeah.
And I don't remember ever wanting it. Do you remember?
I remember wanting the Stop Touching Me Elmo.
I'm lonely. Are you lonely?
You from that episode of South Park?
No.
It's so good. Yeah, that's at least my second, if not third, South Park episode reference. So the chaotic fervor of Black Friday reached a deadly peak in 2008 when a Walmart employee was fatally trampled.
This story now from the opposite side of the country on Long Island, New York. That is where a Walmart worker has died after the doors opened for early morning sales about 5 a.m. local time.
At one point, the crowd surged forward and literally pushed down the huge glass and aluminum doors.
Can you imagine being one of the people trying to get in there for a deal and like stepping on somebody's body?
It just makes me think of like the toilet paper hoarders during COVID and just how primal and primitive some people are. It's like, I don't want to sound like high and mighty or anything, but pick this person up off the ground and then go get your TV.
If the people in the back are pushing you forward, you're not helping anybody.
And the entryway of any commercial brick and mortar store is not designed to have 500 people forcing their way in all at the same time.
But it's just crazy because it's like, what kind of deal could there be that would be worth being in the back and shoving people forward?
It was a TV, right?
Was it?
When this guy got trampled. It was like TVs were on sale, and that was the hot ticket item that year.
That is horrible. It's a horrible way to go, and
Yeah, well, it still gets worse.
Dude, this is the most upsetting holiday special.
Black Friday is a staple part of the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, it is.
So that same year...
Frightening moments inside a Toys R Us store in Palm Desert. 2 people are shot and killed on one of the busiest shopping days of the year.
2 men, both carrying guns, had a long-standing personal feud already outside of this, so their paths fatefully crossed while waiting in line for the store to open on Thanksgiving night. The confrontation escalated. Both men drew weapons and opened fire on each other in front of the crowded entrance. Both men were fatally shot, marking the first known time a Black Friday sales rush directly led to a double homicide.
I don't know why I heard about this. Was this in like a podcast we listened to or something? Because I feel like
it happened in SoCal.
It was gang related.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
and
was,
they were with their girlfriends.
I think it was like Inland Empire, or it was in like Palmdale or something.
Okay.
In 2011, a woman outside a Texas Best Buy decided she was not waiting for the store to open. So to ensure she got ahead of the crowd, she tased several people in the waiting line.
Stop! In the face! We've seen it before. He just needs a little extra.
Oh my.
The incident resulted in the woman being charged with 4 counts of aggravated assault. Just absolutely ridiculous. The doors weren't even open, and she started tasing people
tasing
in line.
Children?
Like, get back! Get back!
How big was the 9-year-old?
That's true, actually, yeah. Because you could have a pretty big 9-year-old and not know.
6'3", 200.
He could have been.
9-year-old.
He could have been a big 9-year-old.
Dude, that's so horrible.
I just, you hear these stories and you just wonder, what was happening, 15 seconds before it all got set off.
I like to think sometimes okay, well, what's the other perspective? And it's like, there's no other perspective for tasing people to get into a store for a sale.
In a line where the doors aren't even open yet.
Just super anxious in line. She's like, I really need to get that TV. And the kids behind her are like, Mommy, I'm going to go in and buy all the TVs today. And she's like, the f*** you are. And just turns around and just tases him. And the mom's like, what are you doing? Tases the mom.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, what? And just starts tasing him. It was like, this got out of control so fast. I just wanted to make sure I got
She gets to the front of the line and she's like,
they
okay.
were all around me. I didn't know what to do. You see those body cam clips where it's some lady just did something unreasonable. And then she's like, they just made me feel unsafe. And then they just put the waterworks on and they start crying. And it's like, I was just so overwhelmed. I was scared. Dude, the lady with the taser makes me think of the trailer trash mom from South Park. She's like,
if anyone thinks they're gonna beat me inside that mall and keep me from getting my kids' Christmas presents, they can kiss my fat vagina, cause I'm bringing the motherfucking pain.
I'm bringing the motherfucking pain.
She's like, I love, she just does the whole Macho Man Randy. Anyone who thinks they're going to get between my kids and their Xbox.
This is horrible.
Dude, this South Park Black Friday special was so epic.
So we've made a South Park video today.
Yeah, so the Thanksgiving special turned into a South Park.
We're just going to discuss South Park episodes.
Thanksgiving. What a thing, huh? Violence has been a benchmark of American tradition since the founding of our nation, and some people still hold that near and dear like a warm slice of pecan pie.
I had to beat an old lady with a stick to get these cranberries.
I'm gonna fix it! Stop!
But what country doesn't have a little bit of violence in its roots? Seriously, if you know one, post it in the comments. I think what's important, though, is to just be present and be thankful for what we do get right.
She accidentally sent the text to a then 17-year-old Jamal Hinton. They quickly realized the mix-up. Can I still get a plate, though? Jamal wrote jokingly. Of course you can, Wanda replied.
Because if you put your phone down long enough, things might not actually feel as bad as they seem.
Whenever I tell someone this story, they immediately are just like, oh, there are good people, or there are good things happening in the world.
A more than 25-year Thanksgiving tradition continued this evening at the Siouxland Soup Kitchen. Around 150 diners enjoyed this year's turkey and all the trimmings.
Or maybe we're all cooked. You decide. Happy holidays.
And you! I hope you got your great Thanksgiving video! What a great family this is!
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support us, like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell for future uploads.